Okay guys, so today we're doing a video on my top 10 fishing lures. And I don't know if I'm gonna get to demonstrate all 10. I'm writing them all down. Like 10, that's kind of a lot, you know? But we've got a giveaway also, and I'm gonna give away the lure box. I'm gonna announce the winner at the end of this video. So top 10 fishing lures. My number one lure is a spinnerbait, just for ease of use. I mean, you can crank it deep, you know, if you wanna slow roll it. You can bring it over the tops of weeds. Man, it's just an easy bait to use. The pike. It's a pike. First cast. First cast. That's good. First cast. That's a good sign, right? Well, let's try not to lose a finger this time, right, Morris? Boom! That's how easy it was with the spinnerbait, man. First cast I caught a pike with it. And so my second favorite lure, probably kind of going in this order, is a bass jig. The bass jig is probably my favorite way to catch a fish. When I throw a bass jig, I want to use braided line, or you could also use fluorocarbon line. I like to use braid. You really have to feel the fish, and you got to set it. With the spinnerbait, I like to use a mono because it's got a stretch, and so when you're reeling in, the fish hits, you don't rip the hooks out of it right away. So generally, my rule of thumb is if I'm moving the bait, so if it's a fast-moving bait, I use mono. If I need to be the one that sets the hook, I'll like a fluorocarbon or a braid. I'm using braid today on this jig. It's getting a little weedy around here, so with this jig, I might just kind of try to rip it through the weeds and see if I can get one. So I'm gonna switch back and forth from the spinnerbait to the jig right now, but those are probably my top two favorite baits. Jig. Oh, I didn't want to give the jig up, and I got him. Yeah, it's a good one. Oh, it's a big one. No, I can get him. If he shakes off, that's okay. Yeah, there's a jig bass right there. Woo! That's that jig. That's that jig I was talking about right there. That's the jig. All right, fighting the fish. We're about to do the good deed of the day. We're gonna go get my buddy Ryan here. He's got a bird's nest in his reel. He's our #1 fan, our #1 subscriber, right, Ryan? Say fighting the fish! Fighting the fish! All right, he's got a bird's nest in his reel. We're gonna try to get it out. You got another rod in case we can't get this?
Yeah.
All right, he's got another rod just in case this doesn't happen. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera off for a second and see if I can make some magic happen. Well, actually, hold on. Ryan's gonna hold the camera.
There we go.
Don't drop it in the lake, dude. All right, now, I'm not gonna take my whole battery out doing this, but did you pull like this?
Yeah.
You did for a long time?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna pause. We're gonna pause the camera for a second. I am the champion of the world. Is that a good song for this?
Oh yeah,
because I
definitely.
fixed it. It's totally fixed. Yes, we did it. Okay, now we got to go back out and catch some more fish.
Baitcaster legend right here.
Get you your baitcaster back.
All right.
Yep. That'd be great. It's been kind of a slower day here. And this is about how fast action was the last time I came out here too. But I don't know what's up. Fish are just off because of the change of the seasons or what. There we go. There's a good one. No, I'll bring him in. That's a good fish. Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, there's a good one right there. Woo!
The iron here. We've had more fish in this little spot over here. They might be on this one. People have good piers over here.
It's a nice fish. He's gonna shake. This is why the jig is one of my favorite ways to catch a bass. I mean, this one I just found, he feels like he's gonna jump or shake. Okay, this one I just found underneath the dock, and man, it's a good fish. Like, that's a good bass right there. Just underneath the dock on a jig. It's one of my favorite ways to catch a fish, man. That just, boom, they hit it like, man, it feels so good. We've been struggling today. We've been throwing a lot of different lures. Woo! That jig's been the #1 bait today so far, and like I said, normally that is one of my #1 go-to baits. It's wrapped. Dude, this was like some close quarter combat. Oh, he fell off. Oh, man. Oh, dang it. Man, that was just like...
Up inside the boat.
There's another jig bass. Fouling the fish. Little one. Okay, so one of my absolute favorite ways to fish is fishing with Sinkos. I mean, it doesn't have to be the name brand Sinko, right? But that style of fishing. So here we're using a Texas rig. We've got a hook like this here, and I'm hiding the hook, and we're gonna skip that right underneath docks. I also like to wacky rig them when I use a hook right in the center of it, and sometimes I'll use a little split shot and let it fall. We're getting some fish, but most of our fish are coming on jigs today, so we'll see if we can actually get one under a dock on this and show you. We were throwing the buzzbait for a while too, and you know, if you haven't used a buzzbait before, you know, it's just crank it in real fast and it's on the top of the water. That's also in my top 5 baits, the buzzbait. Man, I love throwing buzzbaits. We had 3 blow-ups today on the buzzbait, but we just didn't bring one in. So, all right, so doing another one of my top 5 baits, definitely top 10, the Sinko. Let's try to get one. Some pike. No, I don't think so. Wow, it inhaled it. Look at that. Jeez. White spinnerbait. Oh, yeah. Brian's hooked up with a good fish. This is his very first fish on a bait caster. I'm pumped for him. I'm gonna net it. It's a big one. Oh my gosh. Dude, that's a giant. Oh man. I can't high five right now. That is, dude, we just put a giant pike in the boat with a spinnerbait, right? A spinnerbait?
Yep.
And my buddy Brian's his very first fish on a bait caster, man. This is a good one. This is a really good fish. Nice job, Brian. Here we go. First fish on the bait caster, man. He deserved it. We worked hard today for that fish. That was a good fish. All right, guys, we just got off the lake. It was an awesome day fishing. Hey, man, I think that's gonna be a pretty cool video. So I've got our guy who won the bait caster coming over tomorrow morning to pick up his bait caster, and then we will announce on this video in a little bit. You're about to see it. We're gonna announce the winner of my 10 top favorite lures. I'm gonna make the lure package sweet for you. Anyways, just going over the lures, okay? So we talked about spinnerbait. That could be #1 for me, right? Flipping jig. #2, this one doesn't have a skirt on it, but you know, the flipping jig, I'm gonna say toss up between 1 and 2 for me personally, all right? The Sinko, man, that's a tough call too. These are definitely in my top 3. The Sinko, the flipping jig, the spinnerbait. I love how with the Sinko, there's like so many different ways you can rig it, and there's so many different ways you can use the flipping jig. Something about the flipping jig is there's other styles of jigs also. So we have, I didn't show all these while I was fishing because man, 10 baits to throw in one day when we're catching them on the flipping jig, you know, it's hard to switch them up a lot. But I love using these swim jigs. I love using those. A football jig, I would use more like I'm smallie fishing, I'm fishing around rock piles. I prefer the football jig for that. So there's some of my favorite ones. I did talk about the swim bait. The buzz bait. That's definitely one of my favorites. We had a lot of blow-ups on this today, but you've seen other videos where I've caught them on buzz baits. Another one that I love is I call it a vibration jig right here, right? So it's like a regular jig, but then when you bring it through the water, it vibrates. This is most commonly known as a chatterbait. Chatterbait is a trademark name. So other companies sell these jigs and they can't call them chatterbaits, but most people know them as the chatterbait, okay? But it's a vibration style jig, so I love those. As far as crankbaits go, we want something that goes for a shallow crankbait, a square bill crankbait, so something that dives about a foot. So I throw these all the time. This is one of my favorites. So taking a shallow diving crankbait, and now if I'm going a little deeper, I'm gonna have quite a few different ones with the bigger bills on here that just go deeper, and I just hooked my finger, I'm okay. So they're all, these are all different depths, but it's good to have a variety of crankbaits to dive different depths, okay? One little bit of advice when I'm throwing a crankbait, I wanna have kind of a softer tip rod. I like to use a monoline, so it's got some stretch. So when the fish hits it, I'm not pulling the hooks out all the time. So it's got some real give in it, okay? So that's how I throw a crankbait. Jerkbait, oh my gosh. This could be up there, ranked in the top 5 for sure for me personally. I love throwing jerkbaits. In the fall, real cold water, and it's coming right now. We're going to be doing some jerkbait fishing real soon, but when you pop and you twitch it and that bait goes, and it just kind of stops for a second. When it stops, boom, the fish nail it. So I love throwing jerkbaits. Okay, some honorable mention. This is a unique one that I like to throw, the Lucky 13. If you're throwing a topwater bait and you feel like you can slow it down a little bit, you can use this like a popper. I'm gonna tell you something, the hooks that the Lucky 13s come with, they suck, all right? You gotta put different hooks on here. So this is different hooks. I took off the hooks they came out with, and I put on some Gamakatsu hooks. You can see this bait's been destroyed by big pike, tons of bass. I'll give you a tip on the Lucky 13. When I throw this, I'll pop it a little bit, but I like to just reel it straight in. It's just kind of has a wide wobble, and the fish just smash it. I think that a lot of people are gonna say, man, you forgot about a lipless crankbait. This is a good bait too, a lipless crankbait. I don't throw it a lot, but for the limited time I have thrown these, I've caught a lot of fish. So I don't even know if that's 10. What is that? 10, 11 baits? I mean, there's some variations of those baits in there. You know what I mean? So I don't know, 10, 11 baits, whatever, but those are my top baits that I throw. And definitely my top 5 are spinnerbait, buzzbait, Cinco, bass jig, right? The flipping jig. Those are probably my top 5. I don't even know if I named top 5 right there. A couple other ones I like to throw. I mean, obviously I like to throw frogs if I'm in the slop and things like that, but I think if you're set with those basic lures, like, you're gonna be really successful. So that's it. I'm gonna put together an awesome box for whoever our winner is gonna be. What's up, Fighting the Fish? It's the next day, and I've got Jake. What's up, Jake? Jake, the winner of the Baitcaster rod giveaway. So I'm super pumped for you, Jake.
It's awesome, man.
I hope you catch some amazing fish on the Baitcaster. And also, as a bonus, Jake, I'm gonna give you some jigs. So check it out. I got these jigs here. I've got Jake a bunch of almost ran into you, buddy. I got Jake a bunch of handmade jigs here. These are my favorite lures to catch on the Baitcaster, and you saw that in the video. We crushed them on these jigs. So Jake, I got a few jigs for you.
Thanks, man.
And we've got the winner of the top 10 fishing lure giveaway. Do you remember the guy's name?
Albert Harris?
Albert Harris! Congratulations, you're the winner, buddy. I'm super pumped for you. Send me your address at fightingthefish@gmail.com, and we'll get those lures right out to you. You're gonna love them. Your kids are gonna love them. It's gonna be awesome. And you gotta do that. We'll catch you next time on Fighting the Fish. All right, ready?
Yep.
And here we go.
We're gonna catch you next time on Fighting the Fish.
All right.